guess we are ready to go. Let's see what I'm looking for on these tests, kind of give you an idea. Let's see, number one, concrete. Now concrete is very much something you can hold, you can touch, you can feel. Okay, so when we talk about concrete to abstract, we're talking that we're trying to begin, have the students use something that they can hold, that they understand. Okay? Abstract are like the words I'm saying right now. Symbols, all those symbols on the board, that's all abstract. Okay? So somebody that doesn't read English, for example, or a little child can look at this, all you see is a bunch of scribbles. Okay? That's abstract. Abstract is something that you have to take into your mind and you have to process and make sense out of. You have to do a lot of work up there. Okay? Whereas concrete, this is what it is. Doesn't matter what language you are, doesn't matter how old you are, it's the same for everybody. Okay? Because we all can hold it and touch it, it has all the properties and everything. Okay? How it's applied in the classroom is that you would begin your lessons in the concrete way as much as possible. You'd have your students hopefully using manipulatives whenever possible. Okay, and they're following along, like we're going to see that this morning in one of the lessons. Okay, so that's the way you begin it. And then once they understand everything, once they understand the concept, and these things all overlap, by the way, once they understand what you're doing, then you can move them to the symbols. And now, so they understand the process. Then you move to the symbols. They say, oh, that means what I just did here. And you're going to see that this morning too. Okay? And that's the abstract part. Let's see, your late kindergarten. Okay, so they're using the colorful clock. They understand it. How do we introduce it? The first way we introduce the bottom left clock is to have the students observe it. Okay? We don't describe it to them. They tell us. Okay, so we introduce that clock. We say, what do you notice? We ask them to compare it to the colorful clock. Every time we introduce something new, we're trying to get them to use the higher levels of blooms. So the less information I give them, the more that they create on their own, the better off they are, the more they understand. And then you understand exactly what they understand. So I'm telling them, this is what's up here, it has this, it does this, it does this. I don't know that any of them understand anything that I just said. But if they're telling me it's got this, well, they had to understand it, okay? So that's how we're always trying, we're always asking questions. Think about that. Now, it's very, very difficult for us, because I think I said this before in here. It's very rude in everyday life, if someone asks you a question, to pose a question back to them. I think I said the idea of someone going to bonds. I thought I did. If they asked me, where's bonds? And I said, well, what do you think? Where do you think it would be? You know, they would say, that's very rude of you, okay? Whereas in this case, that's the way. So in other words, we're trained not to do that. We're trained, we got to help them. We got to give them everything they need right now, especially little kids. And it's like, well, then we aren't helping them educationally, okay? All right, so how you teach it, basically, the way you teach really all these clocks in a sense is to use it throughout the day. Try and find like 2 or 3 times throughout the day, or 4 times that you're going to consistently stop. Maybe at the beginning of the day, maybe at recess, maybe at lunch, maybe at the end of the day. And then you have them observe the clock, notice what patterns they start seeing. Okay, so now they already know that the colorful clock is going to be in the 9 area when we start school. And then they notice that the root clock is always at 10 after. Okay, it's always a little bit to the right. But it's in a different place than at the other times of the day. So they start to see that pattern, and now we've got them able to use both clocks, and then we just basically show them how to write it. If you put the writing down, that's okay. If not, that's okay. Let's see, number 3. Okay, the nickels, you kind of do it the same way as you do with the other things. Other items you hand out, make sure they have it. Again, concrete. So they have the nickel, maybe I have it up here on the document camera, and I ask them to analyze it, take a look at it, what do you notice? And then I want to bring in the other coins that they already know, the dime and the penny, and compare them. Okay? And then I'm probably going to have to tell them it's 5 cents. I think the nickel does have FIVE on it. So if they can read 5, they have a chance. But then it's all capitals. You never know. Can they read all capitals? So, but you definitely have to give them the name nickel and And it's fine for you also to say, like, if nobody says that the side is smooth, it doesn't have ridges, it's okay for you to say, after a while, they said everything, and you say, what do you notice about the sides? See, again, it's me asking a question rather than saying, notice that there aren't ridges on this one like the dime, okay? So it's that whole way of trying to ask a question, turn your lesson into a bunch of questions. Okay, difference between remembering and comprehension. Comprehension would be something that you were just taught, okay? And then the teacher says, do you understand? Can you tell me what I just said? If I just showed you a math problem, can you try and do one? I'm checking your comprehension. Did you take my information and now you're able to use it? Knowledge would be something that they knew prior, okay? So in other words, if I ask you what's 3 plus 4, that's knowledge. If I'm working in a kindergarten class and just learn 2 plus 4, they say, oh, it's 6, it's 8, it's 7. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, it's comprehension. Okay, and then what role does context? I kind of just got into that, the context of the class. Basically, it's what the students know, what their experiences are, that places the question where it's at. Because like I just said here, what's 3 plus 4? For you, that's remembering, it's knowledge or remembering. For a kindergartner, that would be comprehension. If I just taught them 3 plus 4, I just gave them a whole bunch of math facts. I said, okay, now what's 3 plus 4? Okay? Do you see the difference? It's the same question, but because of the background of the students, because of the context of the situation, these are college students versus kindergartners, the thing changes. Now, my intention for all these questions is comprehension, except of course for your name, which is knowledge. You knew that before you came in here. And so basically, these are all comprehension level questions. Okay? Now, sometimes the students will take a question and then they don't really have an answer for it necessarily. And so they start to move up higher in Bloom's taxonomy. In other words, they start analyzing it because they're saying, like for example, context. What does he mean by context? I don't have the comprehension, I don't remember what he said. So now I'm thinking, what does context mean? You see I'm starting now to analyze it, which isn't what I intended. And then maybe you start to create an answer that you know it isn't really right. I don't think he said this, but I'm going to write this down. So in other words, you took this question and made it a creation one. Okay, again, it's just the context. So in the same class, we have somebody answering it as a comprehension question, somebody now has turned it into a creation question. So even in the same class, you've got these different levels going on based upon what the students, how they're interpreting it, or what their background knowledge is. Okay, so in the kindergarten class, they say, what's 3 plus 4? There could be 3 students that it's knowledge, they knew it before they started kindergarten. The other students, it's comprehension. Okay? Any questions about any part of the test? Okay, so what I did is I took off your lowest grade, or lowest problem grade, and then I had to add about like 5 points or something like that. So it was really out of 30. Okay, to kind of get, because, I mean, the thing is, it's not exact. This isn't, the test is rather hard, the way it's put to you. Okay, it's a rather hard test because it's only 4 questions to begin with, and they are rather broad, and the class itself, the content, isn't the easiest to test, so to speak. And you know that because I said, how do you teach this? I mean, that's a very difficult thing to put down on paper. Okay, if I had you show me it, that'd be a whole different thing. All right, so you have this kind of this variability. It's not a great test. I'm not testing you in the best way, but it's the only way I can to get you to, my objective is to get you to really study the material, really look at it, and that has happened. Okay, that's what I've seen. Okay, I've seen a lot of it learning in this class, and if I'd asked you, in the beginning of the semester these questions, I wouldn't have gotten too many of these responses. Okay, maybe none of them, and so that's good. So that's what I wanted to see. Okay, so that's why I kind of leave it broad. Like you want to study guide, you say, no, I don't want to do that because I want you to really look at everything. Okay. Anyway, I think we had in the pre-test, we had to teach the analog clock. And that's it. I'm just going to hand the pre-test back so you can take a look at actually the first two questions. That's right. Question 2, 3, and 4. Questions 2, 3, and 4, because they were on this test, at least the form of them was, and see what you wrote there compared to what you wrote here. Hopefully, you'll see some improvement or some changes. That's the learning. And now I'm gonna take these back, by the way, because I'll do this at the second test too.
Thank you. At least deserve it.
You're welcome. Okay.
Aw, thanks.
I thought Caitlin's test was awfully thick. Hopefully see some changes. For what?
Especially for time.
Oh, for time, yeah, that's.
I remember looking at that. Oh, it's a good question.
I mean, that should make it, hopefully makes you feel good. It's like, you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, you're in a class and you don't realize how much you're learning because you always feel like you don't know. You know, every day this teacher comes in, shows you something new, you know, you do something new, and so you're always in the state of, you know, I don't really know, oh, this is confusing to me, and then you kind of look at something like this, and it's like, oh, you know, I have learned a lot. If you have any questions about your test, you can, about your, personally, what's going on, you can come and see me. Yeah, I'm gonna get the pretest back. Okay, so if you're done with the pretest, I'll take it back. Okay, can everybody get a blue box in the back? We're gonna use some of the materials from there. I mean, for a table, one box for a table.
Thanks.
I'm gonna erase your pen here. I assume this love is just for me.
It's for everybody.
Okay, we're going to use the wooden blocks. They should have their own little basket, sorry. Basket of their own. All right, so last time we talked about students were counting, they were learning their numbers, okay, because they came into your class in kindergarten and they could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, but we didn't know what those things meant, all those words meant, and so we were helping them to write the numbers and identify them with symbols. Okay, that's what we did last time. So now they know their numbers, or at least they're still learning them. And we're going to show them another concept now. So I'm going to ask the students, I'm going to ask you to go ahead. We're going to make two towels side by side. Now, if you look at this here, the way I have it oriented, and everything's working with manipulatives, working with a computer, working with a document camera, it's all an art. Okay, you learn things. Like, for example, if I start doing this, it's really hard to see how many I have stacked up there. Okay? So, and at first you might do that because you start thinking about it, and then later you think, I think I need to do something like this. Okay? With a document camera. Just have the light here. Oh, there's the light. It helps not. Okay, so we have two like that there. So I have the students, like you put the two there, I say, move your hand across the top. It's nice and what? What do you put? Nice and smooth. It's nice and flat. Okay. Did you say it's even? It's nice and even. Okay. Smooth, flat, and even. Okay,
is even the word you're looking for?
Even is actually the word I'm looking for, but they're all correct terms. So if I put one more, just one on one of the towers. Okay. What do you notice about the tops? They aren't even, not really smooth. What was the other word you used? Flat, okay. There's like two flat surfaces. And the kids will say that too. It's just funny. It's like, you want to get to what you want to get to, and they'll say, but it's flat here and it's flat. He's like, yes, you're right, it is flat there. Then you send them to the office, get them out of the room. Okay, so there it's not even, it's not very even, so if I put one over here, it's nice and flat and even again, okay? And if I keep doing that, kids will say, they'll say so many things, they'll say, oh, it's like steps, it's like, it's like steps, so you go on. Okay, there it's not even on top, and here it is. Okay, so I notice, some number of blocks give me an even top and some don't. So let's go back to our beginning. Starting with 2 blocks. And that gave us a nice, even, smooth top. Okay? When I put another block, what happened? It's not even. Okay? I'll put that over here. It's uneven. They may not know that word, but not even, maybe that's a better word, a better phrase, not even. Okay, and then if I put another one here, nice and smooth and even, so that's, we'll put that over here by the 2. I continue. Okay, so I have 5 blocks, it's not even, so we'll put that over here. You see what I'm trying to introduce here? Okay, the even numbers, okay? And so I put this one there, and still continue to build. And now, hopefully the students have them analyze, look at that, and say, okay, for those numbers that give us an even top, we call those even numbers. That's a very easy transition. What do you think are some other even numbers? And then the students are going to raise their hand. They're going to say, 8 or whatnot. And then, why do you think it's 8? Why do you think that is? And can you prove it to me then? Okay, so you see again, I'm just asking questions. Okay, I do have to tell them what it's called even because they won't figure that out. Okay, and then at some point I'm going to say, what are the not even numbers? They're going to say 3, 5, 7, and so on. Then I define the term odd. And I know there's a book or something about even Steven and odd Todd or something like that. Have you heard of that? That deals with evens and even and odd numbers. Okay, now at this point too, because here we are in kindergarten, maybe 1st grade, the students have already begun skip counting. So they're skip counted by 2s. All right, so you have some association there. Okay, so let's talk about, or let's say this. As a class, I won't say group choral, that's not right. Choral, what am I trying to say when everyone says the same thing? Choral. Or aren't you familiar with that term?
No, choral reading is when we read all together.
Okay.
So if that's what you're trying to say.
I'm trying to say, like, let's all together say 2, 4, 6, 8. I thought there was a term for that too.
Choral reading.
Choral reading.
Call choral speaking. Make your own stuff.
Choral speaking.
Yeah. We'll see how far this goes after this class. You're like, I coined that.
Yeah, that's right, right? Okay, so you go 2, 4, 6, say, what do you notice about those numbers? Oh, those, we skip count those every morning or whatever it is. Okay, so skip count by 2s. Okay, so those are even numbers. All right? By the way, when you skip count, and you're going to see this later, especially when we get to multiplication, if you skip count, you should skip count by 2s, 5s, and 10s. Those are the standards. If you can begin to skip count by other numbers, particularly by like 7 or 8, you're going to help the 3rd grade teacher. Now maybe in kindergarten you aren't going to go that far. Maybe in 1st grade they're going to do the 7s and 8s, but think about those too. Now for us, they seem very difficult. You know, if I say, let's skip count everybody by 7, okay? We'd say, oh, so the kids can't do that, and that's too hard. But remember, the kids feel that about skip counting by 2s, okay? Because all the digits are different. 5's are a little bit easier, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, the 10s are even easier, but skip counting by 2s. So they can do it. By 3rd grade, if they skip count by 7s and 8s, you'll see why that's so very important. That's going to help you, the 3rd grade teacher. It comes into play with multiplication. All right, so we just studied even and odd numbers. Let's see here, we've got, okay, you can take out a clean sheet of paper, just put it horizontally, lay out what do you call it, landscape. Or you can put this in your notebook, it really doesn't matter, as long as it's landscape.
Are we gonna need this? For
You're
the
gonna
future or
keep it.
just today?
You aren't gonna turn it in, so.
Didn't know he's in notes though?
Yeah, in a sense it's notes. Okay, and then you draw a line through the middle, so maybe you have your students use the ruler. Or any kind of straight edge, just to draw a line across the page. So good?
We're using the entire page, right?
Yeah. So that'll probably take about 10 minutes to accomplish this in a kindergarten class.
Oh,
So you have to really enjoy the kids. You have to walk around and watch them doing it, because you're kind of, I want to get this thing going, and then when you start looking at their faces and watching them do everything, that's what makes the teaching for me anyway so much fun.
You watch our faces too?
Not here. The faces here are like, no. I get in trouble if I watch the faces here, so I can't do that. Okay. Now what I want you to do is to place the blocks, and I wish I had a piece of paper on here because it'd be good for me to model this for the students too. You put the blocks, and put a little space in between them, but line up as many blocks as you can, put a little bit of space between them. So imagine I've got my line here. Okay, so there's a line right through there, and I'm lining up the blocks fairly close but not next to each other. Okay? And then I want to, when I have the blocks there, I want to draw a little line in between them. Okay. Just a little line in between them. Very precise. very precise. Lord, not quite as precise. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we got our, and if you have to move the blocks to put a line in there, that's okay. You can always move the blocks, get your tick mark in there. Have all the tick marks on? Okay, now you can just take the blocks off of there. And what I want to do is I want to start at the left. So at the far left of your line, where your first block was, I should have probably said this before, make a bigger line. That's going to be the end of our line. And it's on the left side. Which is the left side? You know, that's another opportunity to talk about what's left and right. Okay, that's the end of our line. We have all these tick marks in there. Okay? So now what I can do is, I can ask the students, okay, show me, beginning at this line, how far down the line 3 blocks would go, and 1 block goes in each of these spaces. Okay, so put 1 there, and 1 there. Okay? And I can ask them to show me, you know, any number of those, like 2, 1, 5, okay? And they can put them in there. I can ask them, okay, how far does it go for 3, when you have 3 in there? And they can point on the thing. I say, okay, right there where you're pointing, write the number 3. Write it underneath that little line that you made. Because that's where 3 goes. So if I start from the left and I go to the right, that's 3. Okay? And then I can, again, do it with the other numbers. Okay, let's put 2 blocks on there. Now show me where that's at on your number line, and then write the number 2 underneath that little mark. Okay? And then, you know, doing it for all the numbers. So if you have 5 or 6 that you can fit on there, that's good. Okay, so they're creating a number line. And you see how we're doing it from concrete to abstract. The number line itself, without the blocks there, is, well, it's semi-concrete and abstract both. It's a picture and it's also, you know, you have to interpret it. Okay, so again, we're going concrete to abstract. I understand what I'm doing. I understand that this is showing me the number of blocks. Okay, so I could pick up one of the students' papers, and I could show that, or I could put it really underneath the document camera and say, they have 5 here. What does that mean? Okay, and then the kids are going, you aren't going to get great answers, but you're going to be able to tell that they know it. You're going to say, well, 5 goes in there, you know, or something like that. Okay, and we can line up 5. All right, so that's our number line. So I tell them this is a number line. Okay, let's use the number line to help us count. Okay, so again, just we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, the reason we're showing the number line, introducing it this way, is because one of the common misconceptions that students get when they learn the number line without this type of a setting, when they learn it in a traditional way, is they're focused on the tick marks. And they'll say, like if you ask a student, in this case it's learn this way because we're going to use this for addition. If you say, okay, go to 2, they go to 2. You say, now add 3 more, they'll go 1, 2, 3, because they're concentrating on the tick marks. Or if you say, go to number 2, if you don't have this written there, they'll say 1, 2. See, they focus on those tick marks. So we've got to introduce it this way so they understand that it's the spaces between. That's really what we're counting up. Think of a ruler, okay? 1 inch isn't at that point, it's the space in between the 0 and the 1. Okay? And that's the thing that students have a lot of problems with, and it does impact their addition using a number line.
Did you just say that you're telling them the space between 0 and the 1 is the 1? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, I could even say, so what does 2 mean? And they'd say, oh yeah, it means 2 blocks in here. And say, okay, so they're understanding that it's things inside as opposed to tick marks. That's the big misconception, are the tick marks. They focus on those. When you think about it, there is nothing in between on a number line, so naturally the thing you're going to focus on are the little marks there. So they start counting the marks up rather than the spaces. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So, it really doesn't matter then how far apart the students place their numbers, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're able to get a certain number up to where you want to stop at.
Yeah, so some might get to 5, some might get to 7, it just depends how close they are.
Okay.
And, you can always then, now you can begin to hand out number lines that have what you really want on, as many as you want on them. So now they're kind of ready to translate that. Now, we're just going to use this right now for addition. We're going to take like an advance of 8 months or something into the future. Okay, so we just introduce this number line, the students don't even know what addition is, but pretend like they know what addition basically is. They know the plus sign and the equal sign. I'm going to show you how to introduce that here in a little bit, but pretend like for right now they've already been doing some addition problems. Okay? So now, if a student might say, okay, show me 2 plus 3 on your number line, so they go to 2, and then however you want to show them, or however they want to do it, so what's the answer? So what's 2? Now add 3, 1, 2, 3. Some of them might use the tick marks, and then that's where you say, okay, I need to bring back those blocks for that student, okay? Because if I start saying, no, you don't count that one, see now how it's getting rule-oriented? Okay, I don't know why. To this student, it makes sense to go 2, 3, 4, 5. For some reason, it makes sense to them, okay, because they're looking at the tick marks. As a matter of fact, 1, 2, 3, they could be looking at it like that. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, whatever it is. And so they've kind of lost the connection between what the number line really means, okay, and how to use it. So with that student, I would have them go back and use the blocks and say, okay, how many blocks? You put the 2 blocks in there, so put 2 blocks in there. I want to add 3 more blocks. Can you add 3 more blocks? 1, 2, 3. How many blocks do you have all together? 5. Okay? So I might try a few like that, and I say, let's try it without the blocks. See if you can predict how many blocks we're going to have. Okay? Using the number line, using the same thing. And now they're more focused on those spaces, they're seeing those blocks in there. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. So if I'm going to use a number line, I'm going to introduce it this way, and then if I'm going to use it for addition, I'm probably going to remind the students, maybe have them just show me 4 blocks or 6 blocks on their number lines, just so they get the idea that, oh yeah, that's what it is. And then I'd start with the addition, okay? But that's in late kindergarten, 1st grade, what we just did now. The number line can be introduced earlier. Okay, so now, how would we introduce addition? Okay, so I'm gonna have the students do it just like, and you can either follow along or you can watch what I'm doing up here. But I'm just going to take some class thing that we do that the students play with or they use in the classroom, manipulatives or whatever. So imagine if they were using these turtles and they play with them, they use them to count and things like that too. And so I'm going to give them a situation and say, okay, I'm playing with these 2 turtles. And boy, I want to have some more. What can I do? And then they'll say, go get some more from where? Okay, the turtle box or whatever it is. So whatever the situation. Okay, so I have 2 right now, and I go into the turtle box, and I have how many? And I can show them, how many do I have? Maybe under the document camera I do this. I have 4. Okay, so how many do I have all together now? Now how many am I playing with? Okay, and they say 6. Okay. I could do maybe another example like that to get the idea. Okay, I'm playing with, this many, whatever, frogs. Okay, I'm playing with 3 frogs. I decide I want to get some more. I go into the box, I look for more, and there's 1 more. How many do I have now? 4. Okay? Now I'm going to just say, can you translate, can you show me with your blocks what I just did? I began with 3 frogs. Okay, can you show me with your blocks? And maybe I'm going to have to model it a little bit. It's not going to be too hard for them. Okay, so I got 3 blocks, and what I do? You wanted more, you went to the box. How many was in the box? 1. Okay? I'm going to put that, that's the 1. Okay? Now how many do I have all together? 4. Okay, so we bring them all together. Okay? So it began with 3. I got another 1. And I brought them together. That means bring them together. And when I counted them all up, I got 4. This means count them all up.
So basically, we're teaching addition with manipulatives. That's just
Yeah.
any type of manipulative.
Yeah. So we're introducing the concept of addition and how to write it. Now notice I'm using regular terms. I'm not throwing at them addition. I'm not throwing at them plus and equal signs yet. It's just let's understand the situation, the concept first. That's the third thing on the list up there. Understand the concept first, and we're going concrete. You see how I went from concrete to abstract. This board stuff is all abstract. I say, okay, so let's do another one. So now they're using the block. I say, okay, show me 6 blocks, and they show me 6. And show me 3 blocks. Put them to the side. Show me 3. Okay, so you bring them all together. How many do you have? You bring them together, they count 9. Say, okay, what did we start with? Can you show me with the blocks what we started with? And so they go back, they put them back to this. So you started with 6. We got 3 more, and then we brought them together, and then when you counted them all up, you had how many? 9. Okay?
So what does equal mean again? You're saying count all up?
Count them all up. I mean, whatever language you want to use.
Oh,
Okay?
use your language.
Oh, okay.
You said count all up?
Yeah. You're just using the language of the students right now, okay? And now after they've done a few of these, maybe at the end of this lesson, you're going to introduce the term. This is called addition. This is called a plus sign. That's called an equal sign. You aren't going to worry about them really understanding those names, because you're going to do it again tomorrow, and you're going to, again, reintroduce it. Yes?
So while you're using manipulatives, you'll be writing this, but using like their sort of language to
Yeah.
describe that writing on the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they might say, you get more. So I'm going to say, okay, then when we got more, I'll use that for the plus sign if that makes more sense. So I got more, got 1 more, got 3 more. Yes?
So is this like the second phase of this, like when we were teaching, like long division, how we just used the cubes at first for everything?
Yeah.
And then when we did it, then we started using the cubes and using the numbers. So when we first start this, would we only just use the cubes or manipulatives and not write anything down until?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me kind of just backtrack a little bit, because I know I'm giving you a lot all at once, and it's hard for you, it's really hard for you to take out what's really important, what isn't, because he's just saying, what's this guy, I'm paying all this money for this guy to be playing with turtles. Okay, so in the beginning, what we're doing is, I have the student's attention, and I'm just taking out some toys that they have in a box that they use, and I'm just gonna hold them, I'm gonna say, okay, Mr. Christie's gonna I'm playing with 2 turtles now, but I wanna get more. How can I get more turtles? And I say, go to the box. Okay, so I go to the box, I empty this box, and there's 4 more. Okay, now how many do I have all together now? Okay, 6. Can you show me with the blocks what I did? I began with 2, show me with 2, and so, and I'd probably model it up here, show me with 2, that's what I began with. And then how many more did I get? 4. Okay, so that's what was in the block, what in the box. I brought them all together, how many I have? 6. So you see no writing here. Okay, I might do 1 or 2 more of these types of problems. Same thing, maybe me holding some other toys and then me saying, can you show me with the blocks? And then at some point, I'm just going to use the blocks. I'm going to say, okay, now show me, instead of going back to the toys all the time, show me, 5 blocks. So they show me 5 blocks. And then show me 3 blocks to the side. And bring them together. What do I have? 8. Now, you may find it useful to have a map, just basically a piece of paper with 2 large circles on it. It's like, okay, put this in this circle, put this in another circle. I know there are some things too where you have the 2 circles, then you have an open thing underneath it, or 2 squares above, an open thing, and you bring the things down from the 2 things and open. You've probably maybe seen some of those. Okay, something like that. We're doing, all those are fine. Okay? And so now they understand what we're doing, it's getting bigger, we're getting more. I'd say, okay, so now let's try another one. So now I'm going to try the one where I'm going to start to go from the concrete to the abstract and represent what we're doing. Because see, that third one, they understand the concept, okay? And we're contextualized. Okay, we're using items, and that's the concrete, okay? So now I'm going to move to the abstract, and I'm going to say, okay, so let's try this one. I have 5, so I'm beginning with 5. Put it right down on the board. And I'm getting, 3 more, so I'm going to write that on the board. I'm going to tell them, okay, this means bring them together. They'll say, oh, it looks like a little T if they recognize, yeah, it's like a little T, it's not quite, but yeah, so that means bring them together. So when you brought them together, that's what you have. That's what that sign means. And then when you count them all up, this means count them all up. When you count them all up, how many do you have? 8. I try another 1 or 2 like that, go through the exact same thing. And this means bring it together. This means count them all up. So we're going concrete to abstract, and then at some point I'm going to, I think, okay, they kind of got it, they kind of got this idea, what we're doing here. What do you suppose this means? Okay, and they're going to say, okay, now they're going the opposite direction. Now they are, for the first time, they're looking at this abstractly, and they're interpreting it now. I'll say, okay, that means you have 4, and that means you have 5, and then that means you're going to bring them together. Okay, when you bring them together, what does this mean? That means count them all up. And how many should you have? However they want to do it. They'll probably use the blocks. Okay. So you see how I just reversed it on them? Now we're doing the abstract first, and they can check it with the concrete. And so now I've got them adding on paper. And now they're ready for, if you wanted to give them like a sheet of problems, and I mean not too many problems, but a sheet of problems, that's this decontextualized. In other words, now they're just going to get a sheet of problems. Those things don't mean anything, but they're ready for the skills, to build their skills right now. Okay? And you see how that's the opposite of the way we traditionally teach math? We usually teach the skills first, and let's learn these things. And then we try and do a word problem, and no one knows how to do the word problem. We don't do that so much in kindergarten and first grade, because we just can't. But beginning in 2nd and 3rd, we start to do more of those traditional things. then maybe on this day, maybe the next day, you're going to call that an addition sign a plus and the equal sign. Okay, any questions about this? Now, what you're going to have are, there are a lot of teachers and a lot of professors that want you to put on the board I can statements. That's a big thing right now. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But, I mean, and if they say do that when you're out in the field, then do it. You know, you don't have to say, oh, Dr. Chris doesn't really want me to do that, okay? But, I mean, you can say something to them, say, he doesn't really, but, you know, don't bother. For them, the reason I don't want to is because you're giving the students information a lot of times that they don't know what it means. Like if I said, if I began this lesson by saying, I will know what addition is, the plus sign and the equal sign, and if we all repeated it, they wouldn't know what any of that meant. And it's like, why am I having them say this? Okay, it's not helping direct them, it's just kind of confusing them. Okay, yes?
But isn't like the whole point of an I can statement to put it in like the student's language, like just basically have the standard in the student's language so that they have a direction of where they should be going?
Yeah, but the I can statement, see, when I say I can do addition and know the plus and equal sign, when I say it, I understand the direction.
But like what if you said like, because today we didn't use the like plus or addition word, what if you said I can put together two numbers?
I mean, well, yeah, that'd be
And
okay.
then like the next day, then their I can statement would be like, I know how to add, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that I wouldn't give them terms, like if at the end of this, you gave them the term addition, you know, at the end of this, and then you said the next day you used the term addition, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Shannon, was that what you were?
Yeah,
going
that's
to-
honestly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, what if you just change the I can statement to I can bring together
Yeah.
two items or two groups or something like that. So
Yeah.
that way put it in their language if our cooperative supervisors would want us to.
Yeah.
If not, then we don't have, we can put that on the board after we taught.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could just ask, like, you know, this is how Dr. Christie said it, are we able to do it after? Maybe explain them.
You don't have to bother. But I think you both have made very good points here, because I'm taking it more as giving them the official terms that they don't know. And I think you're interpreting it in a much better way, in a much more useful way. Yeah, they could understand that right away. So yeah, those are good I can't statements for this. Okay? It's always good to give like the formal terms and the definitions after they understand what's going on. Because again, it'd be almost like me saying, oh, today we're going to learn, well, like on the first day, if I said, we're going to learn what concrete to abstract is, and I said, oh, I don't know what any of this means, and you're just writing it down. It's better for me to say, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm showing you something, and what did I do? And you say, well, you were using items, and then you start writing. Then that's called concrete to abstract. See, now you're ready for the theme, okay? So I think that's good with the I can statements. That is a way. They still don't like say, oh, no, you got to tell them an addition and whatever, and you just, okay, I'll do that, but I'm not going to expect them to know right away. Your closure really is when you bring that together. So let's just pretend like you didn't use an I can statement, okay? The closure is the time then to say, okay, so what did we learn today? What can we do? Okay, we can bring groups together. Okay, what do we call that? We call that addition. Oh, so we can do addition. You know what I mean? Now they're ready to say, now they understand what they did and what they can do. I don't know if this does it kind of make sense? Always think about from their viewpoint, you just don't want to confuse them. Okay?
I feel like the term I can is just the idea of it sounds like something that you say after you've learned it. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to say I can do something that I haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
Like that's what confuses me about it.
Yeah.
I can statement is the end of your lesson, and you're
Right.
saying I can tie my shoe, or I can attempt to tie my shoe.
Yeah. I mean, really, a better statement.
Why not I will?
I will, yeah. I will learn how to add today. Or something like that. We'll learn how to.
I'm gonna put attempt on mine. I will attempt.
I think
Say
for-
something and then say something, hey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can't say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna damage the kids, but it just isn't really doing anything except maybe confusing them a little bit, you know, they're learning these words and all this, and so what's the good is that? Okay? But for me, it's kind of surprising that the ICANN statement came into play nowadays, because now we're so much more we're thinking more developmental, and the ICANN would have been something in a very traditional classroom. Today we're going to learn addition. Today we're going to learn the plus sign. Today we're going to learn, you know, I can know the plus sign, you know, whatever it is. So, okay, how about we take, get back at 20 after, and then we're going to continue with addition.
Because of this pattern again. For those of you who don't know, the other class, those you know. The butterfly. Well, that knows our teacher tells us we don't bring our own. It's all about memory. Really?
Drying your sock.
Yeah.
Is there a blower
Is it wet?
in there? Isn't it like a hand dryer?
Oh, you want me to